Hey, what's up guys? Jace over here at Marketing High and Ydraw, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is stories. So a couple years back I went out and I did a whole blog, which we'll link to at the bottom of this video. I did a blog on 7 stories companies should be telling your business. I've narrowed that down to 6 just because I'm going to combine 2 here, and the truth is I ran out of room at the bottom, so I just combined them. Okay, that's improv. Got it? So I'm going to talk about these stories and why it matters to you guys and why you should be telling these stories. And then I'll talk to you about step number 1. I'm going to go through these over the next coming weeks, but we'll talk about the history, why you should be telling the history more in depth. But let's run through this. So the very first thing you should be telling all your businesses is the history. Tell people about how you got started. Apple, Facebook, all those big companies have a story of how they got started, and people love to know about it. And it helps people buy in to your product or service. Especially nowadays, the younger generations want to align with a business that has purpose, that overcame things. So you need to be out there telling your story, and we'll go more into that. Next thing, you need to tell people how your product or service was discovered. That can be part of your story, okay? But you need to tell people how it was discovered, because a lot of your customers are in the same situation you were. They are looking for your product or service, and if they can say, hey, here's how I discovered my product or service, then they relate to it, and they're like, I had the same problem and I want to do business with them. Okay, next thing is the explainer video. Back in 2011, explainer videos were the hot thing. Everyone wanted one. They went out and they just got them but didn't know what to do with them, and they didn't follow them up with all these others. But a lot of people have explainer videos, and the structure of an explainer video is headline, problem, solution, call to action. Okay, and the more it relates to people, the better it is. But the thing with an explainer video is people have kind of gone away from the explainer video because they all got one and didn't know how to use it. That's for a different topic. Okay, different time, different, we just won't go into it. So number 4, testimonials. You need testimonial videos or some type of testimonial. Okay, show what kind of results customers are getting. Okay, case studies always work good. What I do, I take simple case studies and just put them on a screencast video and show people what my customers are getting. So that works really well. Why you over your competitors? That's another thing you should be telling people. And why do you want to tell them that? Because this is probably one of the number 1 questions I get asked. People are always like, why should I do business with you over these other companies? And I just tell them, hey, here's why. Here's why we're better than our competitors. And then lastly, you need tutorials. If you have a product or service, people need to know how to use it. So create tutorial videos and educate people on how to use your product and service. Kind of like this video, okay? So let's go to number 1, history. We just created a video at Ydraw that's going to show our history. If you want to see an example, it's a good example. It breaks it down. It's simple, it's easy, but it tells how Ydraw got started, and it's kind of entertaining too. So I put a link to it here. You guys can go check it out. But whenever I go speak, whenever I want to tell the history, this is kind of your structure. You're going to start off by telling your story. You're going to tell your struggle. Okay, you're going to tell you what you had to overcome, and then why it matters to them. Got it? And if you look at like Jimmy Fallon, he's a good example. The first night he did the Tonight Show, he steps out there and he tells a story. When I go and do speaking engagements, did one last month where the very first thing I do is I get out there and I tell my story. Here's where I came from, here's some things I overcome, and here's why it matters to you. Got it? And then immediately they kind of buy in. They realize, hey, here's a normal human. He's had the same problems I've had. He's struggled, and then they can relate to your whole experience. Plus, they listen. It's more entertaining. Think about all the money we spend going to movies. This is all they're doing. They're just telling us a story of triumph, struggle, and kind of, well, take Star Wars, for example. You got Luke. His uncle dies. He's left with nothing. Finds a guide. He overcomes the whole dark force, and then he wins in the end. That's it. That is all movies are. If you look at like Pixar, they have a simple formula, which I'll put a link to that. We wrote an article on that too. But there's a simple formula that Pixar uses on every single one of their videos. And you'll see that it basically follows this. They're just out there telling their story of somebody who struggled, they overcame it, and happily ever after. Got it? So if you have questions, let us know. We'd be happy to help. This is what we do. We help people craft their stories, craft their message, and then more importantly, we push that message out to people through social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, so that people can care. Now, when you have all this stuff, then you have material that you can go out there and start getting in front of your customers more and more. People take multiple touches to convert. So don't just do a one thing. Don't just do a history video and think this works. You need to do multiple things. Got it? So I hope this helped. If you have questions, let us know. But that's it. Peace.